number 13, hashtag cancelconor. Ruby DelCorro, Master Ruby DelCorro.
Ruby DelCorro is fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
It's hard to address you in any other way, honestly, a lot of the time, because it doesn't feel right to call you by your first name, but...
Since we're out of the studio, it's
I'm allowed
fine.
to.
Yes, yeah. Yes.
Right on. Well, how are you doing today?
Fine, I guess. I mean, we consider been having a hell of a year, but you know.
Boy, I'll say.
Yeah. So.
Well, yeah. You want to start with your entire life story, and then we'll go from there.
Pardon me.
Or, you know, the important parts that you feel like sharing, at least. So.
Okay. Like. How about you prod me a little bit, and then I can answer some questions. Usually, I'm not a talker, so.
Okay. Is it because you enjoy, well, you're a construction worker as well, you're a carpenter?
I am a carpenter and
Yeah.
cabinet maker.
Yeah, that, I kind of find that's where I find my level of zen, where I kind of just, it's nice to just stay quiet and focus on the work and
Yeah.
do that sort of thing, so I understand, like, not being able to be straight up with stuff.
Usually what happens is, I usually don't have anything to say, and when I do have something to say, I'll say it. That's it.
Yeah.
So.
How long have you been doing cabinets in particular?
Well, I've been in the carpentry industry for 30 years. You know, I didn't really get into rough carpentry. I went right into finishing cabinetry, so I've been doing it for a while. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's definitely takes a little bit more finesse than.
Well, I like the creation. I like the detail. I like the thinking of it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And I like working with my hands.
Yeah, it's nice having that sense of accomplishment when you can stand back and look what you've done at the end of the day. And
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Have you always been like that? You've never really been an office type person then, or?
I ended up always in the office as a bookkeeper, always. Then I just thought, no, I'm not happy in the office, so I need to get out. I'm a physical person, so I like to work out. I like to just be in the moment physically too. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're probably just a hop, skip, and a jump from K-country then too.
Yeah. Well, like. For me, I have a fat bike, and I'm always on the gravel roads all the time, right? So
nice.
I got all on the township roads and range roads, and I just ride around there.
Okay. You don't actually head into the mountains or foothills all that often then?
I do. I
Yeah.
do for on the weekends, and that when I have more time. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Do some hiking.
Evenings usually consist of just trying to stay cool in the summer heat now.
Well, I work out.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose, and you have classes 3-4 nights a week still, I guess?
No, those when at the end of his sickness, I cut those down. It's once a week only.
I was wondering about that. Clearly I haven't been online lately.
No,
so.
you haven't. And yeah, I guess you haven't been getting my emails either. So.
I got a few of them. I know there was a restart of some of the classes.
Yes. Yeah, I'm doing one class a week, different class each week.
Okay.
And then so there's 4 weeks, so each class gets a thing, and it lets me live my life a little bit more, because it does take up a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, it's still training, still working, still living.
Yeah. One I can see too, like it was one thing when, well, especially being locked down, it was easier to do when you had more time, or when it was even winter where it's activities a little bit less, then it's easy to get online and teach somewhat more, but.
Well, but at the end there, when he was like getting sicker, right, it was just he would just need me more. So I just thought, no more. It's my first and foremost attention all goes to him.
Yeah.
So.
Are you comfortable talking about that at all, or?
I can.
As much as you want to. There's no pressure. So
Well, this year's just been a heck of a year for me. It's been really bad, actually. It's one of the worst years of my life. He passed away January 5th, and then his brother just passed away a few days ago.
oh man.
It was his favorite brother. They were very close, and I knew Neil, and yeah, he just passed away. And just, it's been bad news after bad news with family members and that, so it's just, I don't know how much more a person can take, so.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Because it's never one thing at a time, is it?
No, and then, people try, oh, keep looking, you know what? Yeah, then you get a bunch of swear words in my head after they try and give me some happy advice. It's like, no, you haven't walked in my shoes, so don't you dare.
Yeah, and well, and I get even the fact that you're smiling now is a show. It's part of it.
Yeah,
Because it's tough to face the public a lot of the time. I appreciate you coming today.
Yeah.
So
well, yeah, I thought I better do something.
yeah,
This is outside my comfort zone, so I'm doing it. That's why.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. It's I find sitting with my thoughts too much becomes detrimental.
That's why I don't.
Yeah.
I'm working out. I'm working out a lot. So that's my go-to thing. I have to get rid of the sadness, the anger, just the turmoil. You have to get rid of it somehow, and that's the only way I know how to do it without, turning into an alcoholic or a drug addict. So
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll turn into a workout freak. That's it.
Yeah, that's a good way to go. It's a healthy habit. It's definitely tough to go the other way. I mean, I slipped into it in this last winter, which I've told a handful of people that. I kind of needed it, partly just to get meditate through some things and a bit of my own existential crisis kind of thing like that. And oh my God, I just turned 40. It was part of it, but it was.
You're still a baby.
Well, and that was kind of the thing, but when Grandmaster passed away, he was the same age as my dad.
Yeah.
And my dad was well overweight and ate what he wanted and did what he wanted. Fell asleep in the chair most days, sort of thing like that.
Yeah.
And then there's this other guy that's like the pinnacle of fitness and spirituality and stuff, and he passed away at the same age. And
I'm going to expand a little bit more about that.
Sure.
In 2019, they gave him 3 months to live.
wow.
Yeah. And I said, no. No way. And so that man, with proper diet, with proper meditation, lasted another 3 years. So I had him for another 3 years. Quit my job, stayed with him. That's all we did was focus in on him. So, and he was able to do things, like he was still going fishing, we were still going out and doing things like that. So he wasn't debilitated, and all their answer was chemo, more chemo. Let's do chemo. Hey, how about some more chemo? So, so we tried to handle the chemo as much as possible. We got into a 3-day fast a water fast before he would do chemo so that he wouldn't have the side effects. And he didn't. He survived chemo. And he survived it. And he survived it well. And it's almost like they treat him like a guinea pig. It's like, oh, you can take this. Oh, let's give you more.
Yeah, I'd wondered about that too because of his ability to heal his own body. I've physically seen him do it.
Yes, yeah,
So-
and that's the thing, and I did try to do healing on him too, and at the end then he wouldn't let me anymore because he said, I don't want you getting this. I said, I'm not going to get it, that's not how it is. But he just said, no more. But it was, chemo kills all your cells, all.
Yeah.
All.
Yeah, the idea is that your body hopefully rebuilds afterwards, but
after a whole bunch of it, Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Holy
Yeah.
smokes.
So-
Yeah, well,
So that's the difference, just so you know, what staying in good health can do. It does prolong your life.
yeah, well, absolutely. And
So,
I figured it wasn't something that, yeah, he just got one day and then a week later he was gone kind of thing. And
no.
it was something that I'm sure he had fought for a while. And one, he was always the first one to say that you can heal your body. Like, don't discredit medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Western medicine's done a lot of good things for a lot of people, but I also know that for a certain part of it, like he only had so much trust for it though too, is the other thing.
Well, it's not so much. It's I mean, like, it's changing. The medical profession is changing. We're starting to bring in, like, it is starting to recognize qigong and tai chi and all that, and yoga and exercise and just mental health. Is starting to recognize that that's all part of the medical approach to healing somebody. But
Yeah.
I mean, when your only answer is to kill every single cell in the body, come on. Like,
Yeah, we can do better than that.
I think we can, so.
Well, and it seems that in some aspects, as great as our medicine has become, we're still like the ancient Egyptians. Like a lot of the tools they use even are the same.
Yeah.
And it's just like cut out the bad and hopefully your body fixes itself.
Well, I mean, it's the same as the carpentry tools,
Yeah.
right? So.
That's kind of the basics that still work.
just-
So.
Yeah.
But all the more reason, like you say, is that your mind should be able to fix a lot more than what they tell us it can as well.
Well, I think we're missing something. It is changing, but we are missing a big part of healing by not addressing the body's own electrical energy and its ability to heal. We don't address it. It's being, it gets dismissed and it even gets covered up.
Yeah.
Instead of enhancing it, it gets dulled. And, oh, you have morphine. It's like, no,
That just
that's
numbs me.
yeah. That doesn't let you function at all. So,
Yeah. Well, not only that, I think there's a lot of uptick in trying to figure out what a placebo actually is.
yeah.
Because it's frustrating a lot of doctors and scientists that it's effective. Like you tell somebody that they're going to get better with a sugar pill or a certain type of seemingly useless treatment, and it's in their mind so that it makes them better.
Yes. So, if they're seeing that, then isn't that answering some questions that, like if they can film me and see how I can project my energy around me, with that, I forget what the camera's called. Anyways, but if they can see it,
Mhm.
and then they can see it circulating, like why isn't that a thing? Like,
Yeah. Well, and very much to the point too that like the exercise and the training and stuff actually strengthens your aura and
yeah.
whatever type of cameras that they use to actually capture that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's becoming scientifically provable now as well.
Yeah, so, but, it's, well, I had him. I quit my job, had him for 3 years. We were together for 3 years, like straight 24 hours a day, which was totally awesome. It was wonderful to be with.
Yeah. Well, there was a few times that I saw, at least, anyways, that you had to go do something or whatever, and he would take over the class even,
Yeah.
which was kind of neat. It's like, oh, he's around.
Yeah.
And I wondered that how often it's like, is he just standing behind the camera the whole time watching you?
He was actually doing the classes with me.
I wondered about that.
Yeah, he would be in the breathing arts classes, doing the classes with me, and he would do the fluid motion classes too. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then he'd be trying to make me laugh. And so
That's
Yeah.
cool.
yeah,
Yeah, and then you get a little too much camera time, then he starts talking, and it's like, okay, get out of here, it's my class.
never do that. I never did. I said, you go, you do your thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, he had stuff to say, so I let him say it.
It was always so interesting to hear his view on a lot of things too, because I knew that he took years to try to put some of the stuff into words that he did, and by the time he would get to relay that information, it's like it's going to be something small, but it still takes me 10 minutes to explain it.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to just let him go through it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, and the way he would talk about it and go, it needed to get there in order for you. He had to dumb it down for us.
Yeah.
Explain it as if I was a child, and then he would, right?
Yeah.
And then it goes around and like, oh, that's it. And then, 10 years later, you go, that's what he meant. So.
Yeah, that was always the interesting thing, that you'd have a dream or something would come up in work or whatever, and then it's all of a sudden, it just directly applies to the training.
Yeah.
And it's like, he knows more about stuff than I think he's probably forgotten more than I know.
Well, I know for him and I, or is that proper English? He and I, no.
Yeah.
Anyways, we've always talked about this. It's like, how do we know all this? How do you and I know all this? Like, we would sit there and we've been around for a long time, and we know that our spirits have crossed for like we've known each other forever. And yes, I'm devastated that he's gone. I'm devastated. Like, I'm grieving all the time, and I miss him. But, I know we'll see each other again. Like we always do. We always will. So. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Actually, I did an interview with my uncle, and he talked about almost exactly that same thing. That his current wife, my auntie, was... this is their 7th or 8th life together, because he had talked about past life regressions and stuff that he had done, and I can't remember the name of the books that he'd asked me to read and look up, sort of thing like that. But it's something that other people have kind of pointed out, and it's like, well, what was it? And it's like, well, it was her eyes. As soon as I saw her eyes, it's like I felt like I was at home.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well then, there's the windows to the soul, right? It's like you're not even just seeing her eyes; you're seeing that person that you know.
Yeah, it's for us it was when we first met, our hands just touched. Like it was nothing. It was just we just brushed. Lightning happened. It's like, oh my God, what is this? And then that was it. But I mean, like for as many years, I mean 25 years we've been, we were married, and for the number of years that we've been together, we were still excited to hold hands. Like a simple thing of just grabbing and holding hands and going for a walk, and it was still exciting. So, which is, when you truly find your best friend, like you truly find that person. So.
Yeah, you guys are really cute together. I was fortunate enough to be able to work with you guys outside of the studio, which was... I was too much of a jackass at the time. I didn't appreciate it as much as I should have even then. But even just seeing like how you guys were with each other and how you were like kids the whole time.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun to watch and be a part of. Sort of
we were, yeah. I always picture and try. Well, what was your relationship like? I said, you know how you watch two tiger cubs playing? I said that was us all the time.
Yeah.
That was us. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's time to get serious, and everybody put their nose to the grindstone and got to it, but it wasn't really ever that serious a lot of the time. So that was...
Well, for him, when he was by himself, yes.
Yeah.
But as soon as you throw me in the mix, and the clown comes in.
Yeah. No, it was really cool. Well, it was one of the first times that I got to see you guys as people, which is the other thing, because there was... Well, with my ignorance at the start, and I was way earlier in my training, it was like, well, what does a master or a grandmaster mean? Like, I don't know, they just seem like people. And then you get to spend an hour with you guys, and it's like, well, it kind of seemed like a normal class. And then you get a handful of those classes, and then the way you guys explain things, and even compared to the chief instruction that would come through, and it's just like, oh, okay, they're saying less and packing more into every sentence with what they're doing and understanding. And it's just, it very quickly made me, again, humbled me and made me realize like who and what you guys actually are, sort of thing. And then you can still have fun and enjoy
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Well, then that's the thing. If you take yourself too seriously and believe you're King Kong, it's
Yeah.
then you've lost your way. So that's the thing. It's like, I know what I know. We knew what we knew, and if you want to learn it, learn it. If you don't want to learn it, okay. That's always been my attitude, and it used to drive him crazy when I would say that. It's like, but I'm not gonna force it down their throat if they don't want to listen. It's like, that's not my problem. That's theirs.
Yeah.
And so.
With that said, though, I also remember doing a certain series of moves 500 times in the studio because we weren't listening or learning.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we're gonna do it until you do it right. And it took us, most of us, it took us a couple hundred to even just understand what you were trying to teach us.
Yep.
So, and it made so much more sense. And like, oh, okay, right. Again, there's a reason why there's instruction there. And then after that, you told us to, put on a smile and we'll do a few push-ups. Then smile to do this. Then smile to do that. Wipe down your happiness.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
But that's just it. Like sometimes it's like, well, there's so much more to what goes on than just punches and kicks and stuff.
Well, the thing is, and what happens is, I can sit there and yak and say, okay, you gotta turn it this way, you gotta turn it, but your body has to move the way your body has to move. I can't do that for you. Everybody's different physically. I'm telling you about the movement, I'm telling you the theory about the movement, and the only way that you're gonna understand it is to do it. Like, that's the only way, and to repeat doing it, then all of a sudden, there's that one point where you go, this is how it's done. It's like, okay, but you can't get there if you don't do it. Right? So.
Yeah, that's what I've been able to apply kind of that way of thinking to every part of life, and when I fall behind on training and stuff like that, the rest of my life suffers because of it. Because there's a certain mentality that I'm just being lazy on or letting slide, sort of thing like that.
Life happens.
Yeah. For sure.
And that's all that is. But, I mean, that's why we called it Kung Fu for Life, because you always go back to it. Always, it's there, it's your base. It's your base, there it is. And when you reach a certain level, you actually don't lose the base. You don't lose it anymore. It's still there, no matter how many years go by.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Yeah, so true. Well, and even just a level of comfort and stuff in being in your own body, it's like, there's a certain point where I find it's like, I've eaten too much during the winter, or I've had too many pastries, or I've been sitting down too much.
Yeah, you can feel it.
Yeah, and it only lasts for like a week
Yeah.
at most, where, frustration or overthinking problems starts to happen, and then my work is suffering because I'm getting emotional about things instead of just calmly reacting and working through problems and stuff. And it's like, oh, all of this kind of still stems from the same mantra. It's just like, be here now,
Yeah.
right? And know better, like be better, know better, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, my mantra now is I can't control anything that's going on around me. I think I worded it, how is it? I am stuck in the ebb and flow of the universal ocean, and it's trying to drown me. So right now I don't know what's happening, and I'll just keep going. That's it.
That's all we can do.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
as much as we think that we have control of things. Life always shows us that we're in less control than we realize. But
Well, like, what is it, this year? Because I was born a water tiger, the year of the tiger, and the water element. And 2022, I was reading this in last year, so 2022 is going to be the year of the water tiger. I thought, oh good, it's going to be my year. And then I read, this is going to be the worst year of your life. It's like, what? That doesn't make any sense. And yeah.
it started off like right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning. Yeah. I thought, wow. nice.
All right, here we go.
So I mean, I don't put a lot of stock into that, into predictions and that, but there is a basis for it. I mean, even astrology has a scientific basis to it. Like everybody has certain characteristics in that. So when the church split, because Galileo was actually an astrologist too, as well as an astronomist.
Yeah.
So because the two went hand in hand, they totally believed it. So did the Greeks. And then the church split it for some stupid reason. Well, for control, obviously.
Yeah.
It's always is. And meanwhile, the two disciplines split apart, but they should actually be together. It's not a crackpot thing. But for you to rely solely on that is wrong.
Yeah, you gotta still live here.
Yeah, that's wrong. So you do have a little bit of control in your life, the way you still get your free will. But who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, well, and thinking as the individual, you have a certain amount of control, but we're all very routine kind of animals in the first place.
Yeah.
When it starts becoming larger societal kind of things, like, well, how much is my part actually play in this? Am I going to get up and join the Freedom Convoy to make sure that, my freedoms are protected kind of thing? Or is there some larger systemic problem that it's kind of out of my hands anyway?
Well, I think that if we all take care of our little corner of the world, just their little corner of the world, and show kindness to each other, society will be better. It'll just be better. But if we're, violence never solves anything.
No.
So it doesn't solve anything. It harms. It's and to be angry. I mean, there's a certain time you can be angry, there's a certain time you should release your anger and that, but to just be angry at people for protesting, or people not protesting, or people doing something, you can't be angry. Everybody needs to be able to express their opinion. I think this new generation has it right. I think they got it right. It's like, I gotta be me. It's like, okay, you do you. You guys got it right. And to take time off, your big business owner's probably going to cringe when I say this, but to take time off for your mental health, as long as you're not abusing it, yeah, do it. Do it, because it's important. It is important, and you become a better worker, I guess, if you give them the chance. If you give them a chance to take time off for themselves without, but then there's the other side of the coin where it's just pure laziness. So
that you can't never get away with it, though, I think, because people talk about all kinds of universal basic incomes or welfare systems or whatever sort of things. Like, well, some people are going to take advantage of it no matter what.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's not really an issue. But like you say too, the same idea with certain people, that they're just going to be angry because they can be, not
Yeah.
because they even want to be.
And like I said, just kindness. Just be kind. Just be kind.
Yeah.
So
Well, and generally, I think people want to be kind and happy.
yeah.
Where all this, well, because it gets clicks and I used to sell papers or whatever, it makes sensational stories, but most of us are actually happy people. Like, I just played a slow pitch tournament on the weekend, or slow pitch volleyball. 5 games ended up playing with complete strangers.
Yeah.
We all just signed up, and it's like, well, there's an individuals team, so there's a group of 5 of you that you can make a team of 4 at least, and then you have one spare. And we played all day together,
That's awesome.
right? And that's just it. We're all slapping hands and good job and patting each other on the back for things. And none of us are great volleyball players. That's hardly the point, though.
No, it isn't. And we're back to actually, being social beings. That was the hard part for everybody, I think. Even loners,
Yeah.
All they said, all loners, well, this was me. It's like, oh, I guess it's the same as always. Just stay at home. But I mean, you do miss going to the store and just having the simple interaction, or going to get a coffee and just having that interaction. That was horrible for people.
Yeah. Well, that was part of the reason why my mom wants to move here too. Is that she's very much a hermit, and if it's already getting to her, it's like, okay, there's a problem.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And it's hard. That's hard to be alone. And plus, you'll have her around.
yeah. So yeah, that'll be good. But I found even too, by the time April came around this year, and just getting out and try to interact with people, because I did spend so much time by myself, that was weird. I had to get back into the swing of talking to people. Part of the reason why I wanted to keep doing podcasts is like, can I still do this?
Yeah. No, it was getting back in, but now I'm very conscious of how I speak to people, like I do. If I'm in my own head and I'm going to get a coffee, like, I actually get out of your head. That's a human being you're talking to. Give them your attention.
Yeah.
And I make it a point, I don't care if my phone's ringing, I don't care if it's dinging, I don't care anything, but I give them my attention, I give them a smile, do everything in my power to at least not be bitchy. So, or not assume that I am. Like, I just again, I don't want to cause anybody any grief. And the people that are serving you or working behind the till and that, like, they're going through a lot of people, and if you're nice to them, they'll have a good day. So that's the point.
Yeah, and something small, like telling somebody that they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Especially for someone like a server that just never hears that ever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, thank you. It's like, well, you're bringing food around. Like, I didn't want to cook today, and you're helping me out. It's like, the least I could do is say thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it goes a long way. I agree. And people have told me that I've always been smiling or happy when I'm around. It's like, well, I'm in public. Mm-hmm. Some of that's a facade, but same thing. I mean, it makes the day go easier if I'm nice to people, and then that could be reciprocated. So on the days when I'm not as happy, and those same people are around, it's like, okay, maybe they can brighten my spirits for me, because I'm having a hard time doing it right now. So.
Right now, though, the only thing that gets my back up is when people try and give me advice on how to handle my grief. It's like, no. This is my grief, not yours, and I'll handle it the way I need to. So, giving me platitudes or, no, it was God's will. You know what? Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about how God and His will.
What did I say? Yeah, well, I said to somebody, and please don't take offense, anybody, but I just said, well, God's an asshole, and sometimes she gets it right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true, actually. That's a good way to put it.
So that's, but, but it's, if you haven't walked in their shoes, don't give them advice.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I learned this year.
Yeah, isn't that true? And we've never walked in anybody's shoes except our own.
Yeah.
So maybe withhold judgment and listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. One, grief is such a weird emotion too, because it comes up in such different ways, and it hits you in odd things, and it's a tough one.
Yeah, and when everybody always says, well, how are you? I had a tough. Why did you have a tough day? It's just the day.
Yeah.
It's just the day. So.
Yeah, one even wanted to talk more to Ashton about stuff, and it's like, well, how many people are going to be phoning and texting him and bothering him, sort of thing like that? Does he want to just not think about it for a while, like give him a day, sort of thing, here and there? And same thing with you. It's just like, well, are you being peppered by people trying to give you sympathy and all this sort of stuff, and just like, I'm so tired of having to hear about this.
I actually, I didn't answer anybody.
Makes it easier.
For the longest time. They can text me, they can phone me, they can do whatever they want. Everything's off.
Yeah.
I didn't want to talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I was in pain, I was angry, I was, it was just awful. It was just turmoil.
Yeah.
And when how are you? And you're responsible. How do you think I am? Jeez. Like, and
just peachy.
And finally I just said, well, my husband just died. How do you think I am? And then I said, okay then, bye-bye.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Well, I've heard that from other people where a divorce has happened from one of my friends' parents, and it was one of her kids had passed away, and he was in his 20s or something like that, and it was a bad situation, sort of thing like that, and the newer husband had been dealing with it for years, and it's like, oh, just get over it already. It's like, how about I get over you? How does that sound?
Yeah.
Pack your shit.
Yeah.
Like,
no kidding. It's like, so is he buried in the backyard?
I was wondering that, but it's like, apparently he's still around, so just a long ways away.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Oh, I couldn't believe that.
Just it's for life. It's for life. You'll carry it for life. I know I've changed as a person. My personality has changed.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have enough patience anymore.
I can see that.
So I just walk away.
Yeah.
And all I ever say, okay, whatever, and just walk away. And
well, especially being with somebody for decades.
Yeah.
And then you're to a degree by yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, we're never truly alone living in this society or whatever sort of thing, but it's like you feel damn lonely after somebody that, well, like you said, is your best friend.
Well, 24/7. We were 24/7. We were together.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah. And I could never work with my husband. It's like, well, I could.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why some relationships work out really well and some don't.
Yeah.
And people are together because of obligation, not because of love or even some level of compassion for each other.
I remember reading the stats for COVID, how many divorces happened when everybody had to live in the same house. Like, divorce times. Like, yeah.
I wonder how busy Tinder got.
Oh, God.
Oh, well, let's see. We're all just sitting here doing this now. So.
Yeah. That's, as for relationships, you have to find why you fell in love in the first place. Like, find that again if you're willing to work at it. There's a reason you fell in love in the first place. What was it? And see if you can find those people again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I haven't been able to make a relationship work. So I've definitely not found that person that's right for me, or if I have, it's not. I don't know how to handle it when I do. I guess it's the other part of the problem. So.
Oh, well, that's all on you, right?
Well, it's just it. There's no right or wrong. There's no answers for it. It's like if it didn't work out, it just maybe it wasn't meant to be, or there's something that I haven't dealt with, or.
Yeah, and if you're smart enough to do some introspection, then do it. So.
Yeah. One, I definitely have my own baggage that I've been working through. Another reason why I did my hermiting existential crisis kind of stuff for almost 4 months there is just how much am I holding on to? How much am I dealing with? Am I ever just living here and now? How much of my past is still...
Yeah, the past is
dragging me down.
Yeah, the past is a big deal. Yeah, it is a big deal, and if you can find your triggers, that's the thing. if you can regress, okay, you reacted in a certain way in a certain situation, it's like, okay, stop. Why did I react that way?
Yeah.
And if you look back and you look back and you keep looking back and you go all the way back to your childhood, it's like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
And as soon as you can identify it, then it becomes less. So,
Yeah. Well, I kind of understood some level of, or what cognitive dissonance is, and then took that all the way back to like being 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lazy eye, and my parents would put a patch on my left eye so that it would force the muscles to work better on that side.
Yeah.
But it was a big sticky patch that wouldn't just come off. They'd have to tear it off my face every night. And I remember being 2 years old and hiding from them under the couch.
Yeah.
This was one of the places they couldn't find me.
Yeah.
And I could even, like, thinking about it now, like, obviously just the act of remembering things kind of somewhat changes the memory, but I hear the tone of my mom's voice and how she was tired of doing it. She didn't want to do it to me because these people that I love are doing something that's painful.
Yeah.
And this is really frustrating, having half your face covered.
Yeah.
And I also have an astigmatism in the side, which how do you explain when you're 2 years old?
Yeah. Well,
Right,
it's too bad they didn't just dress you up like a pirate, right?
They tried. I kept looking through the patch was the problem. So, but and even then, like my mom had talked about that. It's like something as simple like taking a warm cloth and just moistening it so the sticky part would actually loosen easier and it would come off.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many things, and it's like, yeah, I thought about that too. But it's like at the same time, it's like that happened so long ago.
Yeah.
Like, is this actually still affecting me? Do I have some sort of trust issues with people that I haven't actually like, pulled away from? And it's like, well, and I thought about that, meditated on it for a while, and it's like, regardless, it's in the past. If it's holding on to me, it shouldn't be. So I just need to like move forward because I'm here now.
Yeah.
So it was interesting, kind of walking myself through some of those things and seeing who I am, what I'm made of, kind of thing like that. Remembering where I'm from is the other thing too. Like, what you do when you're a kid makes a huge impact on the rest of your life. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And I remember as a kid, we moved here from the Philippines. I was like 5, and it was still new Canada, basically, right?
Yeah.
The new people were coming in, where Canada was trying to bring in professionals to help run the country. And
Yeah.
so my parents answered the call, but I mean, every single name in the book I got called. And it's like, when you're a little kid.
You don't even know what much that means.
Yeah, in kindergarten, you're segregated, made fun of, pushed around because you just look different, right?
Yeah.
And you couldn't figure out what's wrong with me. And it does affect how you deal with stuff. So.
That was in the 60s, I'm guessing?
It was
70s?
68 we came here in Canada, 68.
Isn't that when the other Trudeau was running stuff?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, he gave me my citizenship.
There you go. Yeah, well, that's pretty neat because funny enough, we're actually kind of in a similar roundabout way. Like, society's kind of going back to that. Everybody's kind of leaning harder to the left and trying to be more open and free, but Pierre Elliott Trudeau had an assassination attempt on him more than once, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. And it's like, but this is what we needed for the time, right?
Yeah.
And same thing now. It's like, as much as everybody's got the F Trudeau on the back of their truck or whatever sort of stuff too, it's like, this is what everybody asked for, twice in fact.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It can't be that bad.
It's, you know what, how do I put this without offending everybody?
Please do.
Ashton and I were talking, and basically what he said, until the old white guys that like to dick little girls stay in power, nothing's going to change.
Yep.
And it's right, yeah, the old white guys that like to dick little girls are still in power. Nothing will change.
Yeah, well, and that's where children have learned racism, basically, to someone like you as a child.
Yeah.
Most kids, if they're just allowed to be happy and play. It doesn't matter what color skin you are or what's going
No,
on.
like our neighborhood was, you know, we were all from all parts of the world. Like every color in the rainbow, we were out there playing. We were fine.
Yeah.
And then you get to the schoolyard, it's like, what the heck is this? You know, but in the neighborhood, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, it's weird how that kind of stuff happens, but ignorance though is the other part of it too, and fear, because there's something slightly different, and
Yeah.
they're going to take away our freedoms or our way of life. It's like, well, no, they're here to enhance it
Yeah.
as well as their own.
Oh, I mean, imagine like all the types of food that we wouldn't get.
Yeah.
Holy crow! Like just the food alone. Never mind just the fashion, the way of thinking. You know,
Yeah.
the way art, music, everything.
Yeah. What do you think of the phrase cultural appropriation?
Cultural appropriation. That sounds very negative.
It does. I think that a lot of people that say that don't know that they're not allowed to eat a lot of the Italian food that is classically Italian. If that line of thinking goes all the way back to a certain time, because something like tomatoes were only in Mexico until about 500 years ago. So.
Cultural appropriation. Why, is there a movement now?
No, it's this thing that, like, well, because let's say because you're Filipino, you're not allowed to dress up like a native or have like the big headdress or whatever for Halloween. Like they've taken all those out of the stores because somebody's appropriating native culture that way. But it's at the same time, it's just like, but it's a costume. They don't even dress like that. Like they do, like very rarely. But even then, if that's a ceremony thing, and that's
Yeah. You can,
right. So
everybody's so sensitive.
right, and that's what I thought was so silly. You know, like.
You know,
like Belgian chocolate shouldn't be allowed then either,
well,
right?
well, the thing is, you know, like I'm not pure Filipino. Like my father was Spanish American, so, and then behind that was all his different races, and on my mom's side for all her Asian races. So it's like, well, I can do whatever I want then, because
Well-
it's all part of my culture.
Yeah,
Right?
that's what I always thought was funny too, because it's like, well, if I say "Hey Chief" and somebody gets offended by that, it's like, well, first of all, I'm part Métis, but I'm also have Irish in my history, so it's like they had chieftains as well.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe you should watch what you're saying,
Yeah.
because you're doing
It's,
certain things.
yeah,
but it's-
I think it's just they're so afraid to offend other people. That's all. That's what it is, and which is fine. You don't want to offend them, but I mean, come on.
some people need to lighten up.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, that's what it seems with a lot of this stuff. It's good that people are, like you said earlier, like being more open and just being who they want to be. But there's a lot of people that seem to say it's like you can be whoever you want, but in a certain way.
Well, but that's not. That's.
Classic communism.
Well, I don't know how to. It's almost like saying, okay, you can be gay, but not that gay,
Yeah.
right? It's like what? Like,
Well, it's what that book about animal farm was about.
yeah,
Basically,
yeah,
right? It's,
yeah. There are more rights than some. Some have more rights than others.
Yeah, we're all equal, but some are more equal than
Yeah,
others.
that's
So.
Yeah. And yeah, they all had it right. George Orwell, Margaret Atwood had it right, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and I think every time we have a system that works well, it seems that regardless of what happens, there's always going to be people that want to take advantage of it. And it's always a small percentage of the people, but after a while things get bastardized and turned into something that can be turned to an advantage because some people just don't want to work hard on certain things. Like you and I seem to have no problem putting tools on and getting things done. But a lot of people, if they spend half as much energy, instead of being crooked as to, put in a solid day at work, they would do well.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. Wow. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But,
We're all part of society. Just get along. That's all. Just get along. But if your beliefs are oppressing somebody, change your beliefs. Like, don't oppress people.
Yeah.
Don't oppress them. It's why?
Yeah.
Why? You're not better than them. And this thing when the Roe versus Wade got overturned, it's like, oh my God, here we go again. We're back to the 50s.
Yeah.
Where a woman has an emotional outbreak and off to the institution she goes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's a bit of a backwards going in a direction, but at the same time, and I understand people want to stand up and they have a platform, let's say on Instagram, whatever sort of thing, but it's like, you also live in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't apply to us.
No,
So-
and thank God our government said it's not coming here.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, good. But, I mean, they're so close.
Well, and
They're so close to us, and
Yeah.
we get their culture through entertainment. Like, we get all their stuff. We get all their propaganda. We get all that. And it's like,
yeah,
and it is propaganda, because
that's what news is.
well, and the problem is, they'll give you something to fight about over here, meanwhile, so that they can get away with what they're doing over here.
Yeah.
So it's just,
Well, any time we have these, whatever, abortion things, Black Lives Matter, it doesn't matter which lines they try to draw through societies,
Yeah.
it's always rich versus poor.
yeah, always.
It's,
Always.
Yeah.
It's that 1% that doesn't want to relinquish the power, and it's like, you know what? Why don't you just let a normal human being in your little club there?
yeah,
Like, just the regular Joe, let him run a little bit of something, and the social programs, let him run it just a little bit.
yeah.
Or her run it, sorry. Excuse
Whomever.
me. Yes.
They,
Someone. Someone.
Yeah,
They.
whomever they may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, I understand for some of it there's a need for optimizing certain parts of stuff, but we also have we're addicts as a society, basically. Like, we want to do things to the best, and then the best becomes like excessive and gross even.
Yeah.
I mean, agriculture is a great example of that. Like, we're
Yeah.
just trying to get enough calories to everybody. Now we've gone so overboard, it's like,
Well, when you're throwing out food, like when you're actually throwing it out because you can't sell it, it's wrong.
yeah, we need to wind some of that down.
Well, yeah, because what are basic human rights? And I've always said this. Well, a basic human right is clean air, clean water, clean food, and a home.
Yep.
That's basic human rights. And how much of the world's population don't have that? We actually don't have we have clean water. Sometimes we have clean air. Sometimes, like, Canada's still really good. They're trying to change it, but we're still really good. Like, our carbon footprint is 1%.
Yeah, well, and we're second largest country on the
Yeah.
planet too, so
And-
we're
and-
pretty lucky.
And it's like, quit blaming us for stuff. We're only 1%.
Yeah.
We have pollution laws, so.
Yeah, well, and some people seem to think that when you throw a straw away in Calgary, it instantly goes into a sea turtle's nose. It's like, I understand plastic pollution is bad everywhere,
Yeah.
and we can do better all around, but at the same time, yeah, be aware of what it is that we're doing,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Well,
So,
it's even with I forget who I was talking to. Even with the form of natural gas, it's
Yeah.
like natural gas is available all over the world. It's clean burning. It actually has very little emissions. It's right underneath the surface. You're actually doing humanity a favor by using it as fuel, as for heating, for cooking, for running your vehicles. But yet they're promoting electric vehicles, which need the rare earth minerals, which they're just devastating countries to get that out. And it's like, natural gas is right underneath the surface. I mean, Medicine Hat was giving it for free for heating your home. Like,
Yeah.
and you know, and you realize it's like, yeah, because every single country in the world has natural gas, and it's right there for use.
Well, and again too, like if you want to talk about natural gases and proper use of methanes and stuff like that, we have huge sewage plants, and that we can actually use our own waste and recycle it, so it actually turns into something more clean.
Well, yeah, and that's what I thought. You know, why did like Alberta? You know, they're trying to do alternative fuel and all that. That's fine. Why don't we build the Alberta truck that runs on natural gas?
Yeah.
And let every citizen have one.
Yeah, because that's too good of an idea.
Yeah.
Where am I getting hook my bank account to any of that though?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, imagine giving people that break. I mean, who can can you afford $100,000 vehicle?
No.
But
Straight up, I cannot.
yeah, right. Who can?
Yeah. With that said, though, too, I got to say, like when Stephen Colbert made that joke about gas prices going up, it's like, yeah, it could be $8-10 a gallon. I don't care. I drive a Tesla. And he got shit on for that, but at the same time, like, first of all, he's joking, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, take it easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Third of all, it's like, he knows what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's not doing it because it's like, oh, just buy an electric car.
Yeah.
That's not going to solve anything.
No.
Like, let's say, somebody snaps their fingers and everybody's going to electric car tomorrow.
Yeah. It doesn't solve anything because our whole world is built on petroleum products. The whole world. Like, everything in your home is made from petroleum products.
Well, that's the other thing. People seem to think that it's only gasoline or diesel that comes out of the ground.
Yeah. It's like, no, your carpet, right? Your carpet, the paint, the whatever, the plastics, everything, the synthetic fibers, everything.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much. Well, the roads we drive on.
Yeah.
The tar and the heavier parts of the crude and stuff like that gets turned into other things. Like machinery needs lubricants somehow. Like they don't oil themselves.
Yeah. And you know, it's. So anyway, you can't just turn society on, okay, we're all electric. It's like, okay, the grid can't handle it.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're not good at making good batteries either. So.
No, the grid can't handle it.
Yeah.
And what are they saying in Texas right now? Please don't plug in your Teslas. The grid can't handle it with all the air conditioning on.
That sounds right.
Right?
Yeah. I wonder if that's actually what happened last year then, while it was part of the blackout. Because Texas is on its own grid, it's not actually networked into the rest of the states.
Yeah.
And if they are, they would make failure less likely. But even then, it's like, really? Electric cars are actually causing problems now? Mm. And not to say that it shouldn't have been something that somebody shouldn't have seen, and I think it's great that there are electric cars out there. I mean...
I think it's fabulous, but the grid has... It has to, like, you have to put the infrastructure in order for it to work. And when when there was viable alternatives, you know, rather than ruining Tibet just to get out the minerals, like, come on.
Well, even if we did, like let's say there was $1 trillion put into whatever sort of thing like that, it would still take 30 years to build and upgrade all the infrastructure to make it more, even just more functional in that direction, not even just fully turning it over to electric.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, then what are your roads going to be made out of if you're getting rid of petroleum?
Well, that's the other thing. They can't.
Like, come on.
They're never going to stop drilling for oil.
I know, and
there's too much that comes from it.
Yeah, when you say, okay, we're not doing this anymore, we're going to do this, and they don't give you how. Where's the viable plan? Where's that step-by-step plan that's going to happen? Not just, you know.
How many people are you going to displace? How many new jobs that have to be created, which will be good? And how many other jobs will be flattened and something that's not even going to be as good to replace it?
And, you know, we don't have the answers for the whole world, but there we go.
No, but I mean, it does get a little frustrating, and I know that was something I've been working on when I see things about that kind of stuff and I have like emotional reaction to some of it. Say, okay, first of all, why am I emotionally invested in this all of a sudden, for one? But the other part was some people are just regurgitating information that they haven't actually done any studies on.
Yeah.
They haven't done any of their own research, and you know, being a construction worker, people are like, oh, you're not a scientist, or you're not this or that. It's like, I know how to do studies, though.
Yeah.
I know how to look for things, see who they're funded by, see why people are arguing against them, see why they're arguing against them, who funds those studies.
Yeah.
Like, you actually do like the full process and look at the whole picture.
Not just the internet meme.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I saw a Facebook headline.
Yeah. Yeah. You should take this because I said so. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, same reason why diets never work. It works for a couple of people, but doesn't mean that everybody's going to be able to get on it and lose weight or feel even, mentally stable because they changed their diet.
yeah. So that's why I stick with you do you, I'll do me.
Yeah.
No, we go. So.
No, that's a good place to be, for certain. But I think that... Where are we at here now? Come on, now. Well, we're an hour in. How are you feeling?
We can keep going.
All right.
We can keep going. Okay.
So what do you think about the patriarchy while we're at it?
The what?
The patriarchy. Seeing how we're in these larger world issues.
It needs to go. It needs to go. It needs to change. It really does need to change. Men and women, are made differently. We think differently.
Yep.
And that's the way it always has been. And it's good. It's good that we are different. We have different ideas and that. But if we were in a more matriarchy society, there would be more caring. I truly believe that they would care. As long as women don't try to become like men.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, they're trying to do that. They're trying to erode. They're trying to erode the female characteristics out of people. And I don't want that to happen. Like, am I a feminist? Yeah, I guess so. I guess I am. I believe that women should have equal rights. Yeah, if that makes me a feminist. I mean, I'm in construction. That's not it. I fought hard to get there. I fought hard, had to put up with a lot of crap. And I'm not your normal, female that grew into the role of what was it that they only had? Teacher, nurse, secretary. That was the three things that women could be. Teacher, nurse, secretary. That was it.
Yeah.
And luckily, I was lucky enough to get out of it. But for women that are becoming men, I truly believe that that's all part of the plan of where they're trying to just get rid of us caring for one another.
Yeah. And you're not seeing that as a trans sort of thing. It's just women actually, in fact, acting like men and doing...
Like, thinking that in order for them to get anywhere that they should be that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Being a good woman doesn't mean being all the shitty parts of a man.
Yeah. Like, really. Like,
yeah.
You don't need to act rough and tough. You can be rough and tough. You don't need to act. You don't need to degrade yourself or have lack of respect for yourself to be strong.
Yeah.
You actually do not need to do. I find that men, when they act that way, they're afraid. It's usually fear-based, and it's like, why are you imitating that part? Ew.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
Yeah, because men, when they're confident and comfortable in themselves, they're not really afraid or anything, or kind of more like your attitude. It's like, well, you just do you and I'll do me. So
yeah, well, I mean, like my husband Derek, he was Superman. And how kind was he? How much of a kind person was he? Like, he was so nice, he was so very kind. Mm-hmm. And a lot of men mistook that as weakness. It's like, oh, don't you mess with him. You're gonna find out. And then all of a sudden the one look, and then the guy just cowers off in the corner. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's what I found in construction too, is that I tried being a nice person and tried taking care of things, and people started walking on me. It's like, don't mistake my kindness for weakness, guys.
Yeah.
I'm doing this because you don't want the other half of me to come out.
Yeah.
And they kept pushing it, and it's like, okay, I'm going to be an asshole for everybody until the job's done now.
Yeah.
Things got done faster, for sure, but I didn't feel good.
I know, but do you see what I mean? Like, it's that part is stupid. It's like, why do you need that? Yeah. Women don't need that. When we get together, it's like, okay, we got to do this. This is our goal. Okay. And then we all do it, right? Yeah. But sometimes now it's like I said, it's changing, where all they know is the whip. It's like, why? Why do you need cruelty in order for you to understand something?
Yeah, it's odd, because it's kind of turning on its head now, because there's a lot of men that are willing to knuckle under and do what they say, sort of thing, like, or what somebody else says, or not stand up for themselves, sort of thing like that, and they're taking more of a backseat or subservient role, or even doing renovations for people where the wife wears the pants in the house and he just does what she says no matter what, sort of thing.
Well, so, I mean, that rule, happy wife, happy life,
is wrong.
It's well, if your wife's happy, you're pretty happy. No,
well, it should be happy spouse, happy house.
But that's the thing. That's the problem. It's like, there shouldn't be, how did we? Someone has to be the leader in a household. In our marriage, this is how I put it. I said, okay, you're the leader. I said, okay, you're the leader. You run, your word rules. Understand that. Understand where I'm giving you that power, right? Okay, you have the last word. But if I say something, you better be willing to listen. Because I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
And as soon as I did that, it was cooperation. Because, like I said, men and women are different, but if you give you have to let a man be a man.
Yeah, I think that's part of what I've been getting frustrated with, is that, sure, there's things that men do that are shitty and kind of gross sometimes, but women shouldn't be able to tell men what men are, though, either.
No, no, they shouldn't. And that's the thing. And women complain, it's like, I can never find a man. It's like, it's because you're beating the manliness out of them. My God, you're nagging the manliness out of them. You want a man, let him be a man. I mean, if you want to teach him something, teach him manners. There's nothing wrong with manners. Like, and that's what it comes down to, is just manners.
Usually, yeah.
So. But that's the thing. Like I said, when I told him that, I said, this is our marriage. This is how we're gonna run it. I said, you got the last word, but understand, I'm very smart. So you have to listen to what I say too. And as soon as I gave up that yoke, our cooperation increased. Like, we just discussed everything.
Yeah,
so.
regardless of even final say, that there's some times where you're just going to have to take lead for certain things because it's more your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure I
And
know Derek was willing to lead.
Yeah,
or listen. I mean, sorry.
yeah, he understood that totally. He's like, oh
Yeah.
no, you know what you're doing there. I said, okay.
Yeah.
And I always said, he knew what he was. Okay, you know, and I would just back off.
Yeah.
It's like you can't just take, like, everybody brings strengths and strengths to each relationship, and you should let that person have their strength. And if you don't agree with it, it's maybe you should maybe look at why don't you agree with it instead of just putting them down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's why well, when somebody had said happy spouse, happy house, made better sense.
yes,
Because it's more so that happy wife, happy life, kind of same thing, is that it got pushed so far where it's like, do everything she says or else.
yeah, no.
And it's like, well, then the guy's basically given up everything that he is and his personality, everything, just
No,
so that she's not screaming.
Yeah, so that and
So-
that's why you have the man cave, right? Everybody.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I need a man cave. And it's like, yeah, you really do.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think,
Yeah.
I can help you build it if you want. Barricade it. Yeah, I see what you're doing and what you're going through. No, and that's the thing. Yeah, happy spouse, happy house. You're right. And it's because in today's society, both couples are working. Like, I mean, both partners are working.
Yeah.
In order to survive, both partners have to work. They have to work. And if they need to choose who works and who stays home, well, the person that makes the most money works.
Yep.
And the other guy gets to stay home. Woohoo!
Yeah.
So,
That's like I always kind of thought too. If I had married somebody that had a better job than me, I would love to stay at home and take care of
yeah,
kids.
yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Get to watch
it's-
cartoons and
it's
like
like-
have snacks and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm down.
I said, you know, hey, honey, can I be a housewife? He goes, no way. Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, but that's always an interesting place though too, because it's when you have kids and there's a need for both people to work, or they're very set on their careers. They have been since they were really young, and then they put a lot of money and time and effort into making that happen.
Yeah.
Then they have kids, but then they don't really raise their kid. The nanny raises their kids, or mom and like the grandparents raise the kids.
Yeah.
Not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but at the same time, it's like you had kids, so you spent time with them though too, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? We just need to get on the 32-hour work week.
Yeah.
So we just need to do that. And I don't know how that's going to happen. I mean, the grandparents raising the kids isn't that bad.
No.
It's still, because grandparents have been through it, so they're like, no big deal.
Yeah. Well, it's good that there should be more of that kind of thing happening, partly because we're so fragmented in what a family is in North America.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
part of it, so.
Well, it's also too, and then there's now where there's senior homes where a daycare is attached to the senior homes, and it works out wonderful.
It's a great idea.
So it's like, yeah, we should do that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually, because there's lots of people that would love to have their grandkids come over and.
yeah, or even just story time read by grandma, like
Yeah.
any grandma, right? Or arts and crafts with
Yeah.
you know.
Help
so-
stave off Alzheimer's, and kids
Yeah.
get to learn something new. And
Yeah, and and that's the thing, because our seniors are being wasted because they have a lot of knowledge. They shouldn't just be.
tucked away.
Yeah, they have a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there was the one in Bridgeland. It's a big 4-story, huge building, and they're mostly like, well, some of them drive and stuff like that, but it's not for disabled people necessarily. This home, and I could not believe how many people are in their 90s in there. They're still walking around doing their thing.
Yeah.
We're working away outside making noise, and the guy that's that's like, you're bigger than him. He comes out and like, you guys gonna be out here making noise all day? He'd come out and tell us a couple of jokes, and he'd go back in and do his thing, and
Yeah.
you'd see him just doing the same thing with everybody, you know, and hey, how you doing, kind of stuff like that. But 96 years old,
Yeah.
you know, still full of life, getting things done.
It's yeah, we've extended our lives. We've had good lives, we've extended lives, and we should just cherish them. They've got a lot of stuff still.
Well, it was kind of cool being able to sit there and get to know some of the people that were willing to talk, and they said it's like, don't just slough them off, like let them talk, but at the same time you're still here to do work, sort of thing. But yeah, you eventually get to know some of these people and hear them tell stories about the things that they've done and the adventures they've gone on, and half the time that's what it is. Like, loneliness kills a lot of people, and they just want somebody to talk to. And it's like, well, I remember using that, and we didn't have power drills in the day. We just had one of those things you just kind of stick on your shoulder and you crank it fast, and that was a drill. And it's like, oh man, I could imagine building stuff like that. But it was good, and I don't know, partly because I'm large and not worried about a lot of people, especially old people. But if I get an opportunity to help an old person across the street or something like that, and they'll give me a chunk of their life story, it's like it feels good, you know, and it feels good for them to be able to talk to somebody, because they feel boxed in or tucked away a lot of the time, anyways. So it's good to have a little bit of that to let some random stranger that I'll otherwise would probably never see again. But it's like it gives them a sense of like we don't all forget about you. So.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's why like attaching a daycare to a nursing home would be a great idea. Even getting even high school kids, exposing them to here's story time. Right? Listen, here's a career path. Listen to this career. You know, and just it's something we shouldn't forget. And they have a lot of experience, so.
I understand that they don't want to work necessarily, but
but they can tell you what they did for a living. They can tell you all their stories behind it. They can tell you. They can say, don't do this. Right? Don't go into this. It's horrible, right? So.
Because we've definitely gone long past the sitting around the campfire kind of thing like that, and listening to the elderly tell stories and watch out for this kind of stuff, like you said. Like they have knowledge that we should be passing on.
And they have knowledge that was, that you didn't have to plug in. Like, imagine if the grid went down. What would...
A third of the population would die within the first week.
My phone! I can't get my phone.
Can I still do a selfie?
So and that's the thing, right? And because blackouts do happen. It's like, and when the blackout is, it's panic. Oh my God, I can't charge anything. Oh.
Well, even when power goes out for an hour or something like that, and I very quickly remember how dependent I'm on everything. You go to wash your hands. Oh yeah, that doesn't work. I'm going to go, well, I can't do that. No, can't do that either. I got a book, I guess. We'll sit down and read a book until the lights come back on, because what else am I going to do? Hopefully I have candles.
So, it's, because these things, I mean, you see everybody talking at a dinner table and they all have their phones, and I make it a point to not bring my phone to dinner. When I have people over, it's like, no, put your phones away, everybody. We came to visit. So.
The only time I'd ever want to go to my phone is basically because I'm telling a story, and it's like, well, look at this mountain I hiked, or whatever sort of thing like that. And it involves a story, and then like you say, it immediately goes back into the corner sort of thing. But even then, it's like I can tell the story without showing pictures a lot of times. So.
No, but also it's convenient. It's nice to be able to take pictures at any time. It's nice to be able, you got that word wrong, and look it up right away, right?
Hey Google. No.
And that's the thing, when we pulled out a dictionary, it's like, what's that? It's like, we look up words in this. What?
Well, that's what I always thought was so ridiculous growing up, because you didn't know how to spell something, so you ask your parents, we'll look it up in the dictionary. Well, if I knew how to spell it, the logic wasn't there, but it's like, oh, it's there.
Yeah, it is there because you sound it out and you actually,
Yeah, and you're going through and it's like, it was so frustrating, but then it's like, oh, yeah, you're teaching us stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Or this book that was written for us and has been added to for decades, centuries is teaching us stuff still.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
really helpful. So, but yeah, little lessons like that. How often does that happen?
I mean, for me, if I text people, I write full sentences. I don't argue. I don't do that.
I hate that.
I don't. It's like, no. And I'll make sure I'm grammatically correct when I send it.
Yeah.
It's like, did I do that, man?
Yeah, well, that's why I like to proofread, just to make sure like everything I put in is correct. And it's like, does that make sense? Did I think too fast and put too many words in, or
Yeah.
whatever? And I try to make what it sounds proper, but I also know that I text like I feel a lot of the time
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah.
it's like something comes across like, ooh, that sounded way more aggressive than I expected. Sorry, that's not what I meant.
Yeah. But it's, that in one part, like I said, the new generation, they got it right where they're taking care of their needs, but also too, what's happened is we've dumbed them down.
Yeah.
We've actually dumbed them down. It's like, please learn how to give change from, using your brain, like give change back.
Yeah.
Learn how to spell. Learn how to write. Like writing. When they took writing out of schools, it's like
That's
that,
weird.
then it's like, isn't that illiterate? That means they're illiterate, but they can only like put an X beside their name. Like they're illiterate.
Yeah, well, I remember getting a sore hand from printing
from
and handwriting,
cursive, right?
and doing terrible at it, but you get better like anything.
But it's so what happens when you're, like I said, what happens when your iPad goes down? Like how do you finish your homework?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you should have some sort of paper backup.
Yeah.
Or use paper exclusively and have your iPad for, well, that thing I kind of didn't realize, partly because I don't have kids, like how quickly that changed over, how every kid has a laptop in school
Every kid has an iPad.
or something like that,
Yeah,
and it's just,
it's
okay,
Yeah.
because there's way more on there than what you need for one, but for two, it's like games, music, all this other distraction kind of stuff too, that
Yeah.
very easy to have on there.
But you can get your researchers and your books all fast. The information comes in fast and quickly and all that. But I mean, there's something to be said about having to look up stuff in a book and actually writing it down. Writing it down and learning it that way.
Yeah, well, I've probably just because of my paranoia, but I have a feeling that I've had my whole life that I want to be able to do something like going out, being able to camp and kind of just practice my skills, sort of thing like that, so that not if, but when the world shuts down or something big happens, I'll still be able to survive for a while.
Absolutely.
And I wonder that, like, how many people could actually survive for a weekend
Yeah.
camping, even if they had a decent amount of gear.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, even at my last bookkeeping job, it was the computer went down. It's like, okay, no problem, and got the journals out and did everything by hand. It's like the new girls are going, "What are you doing? What are you?" It's like, it's like adding and subtracting.
yeah.
This is your debit and credit column. There's your balance. We're still doing this.
Yeah, this is what's known as a ledger.
So like, but you're actually able to solve stuff on the computer because the computer doesn't know everything. You're able to solve stuff within the program because you know how to do it. But like camping, hiking, lighting a fire, right?
Yep. Practical skills.
Yeah. I remember doing orientation, right? Just finding your way out of the forest with your compass, and I loved it. I loved doing that.
Yeah.
And
Well, Discovery, I think, had a commercial about that. It's like, if you're lost in the forest, take a stick and put a stone at the edge of the shadow. Wait 10 minutes, take another stone and put it at the end of the new shadow. Put your right shoulder to the first stone. Now you're lost in the forest facing south. know where I am, kind of.
Well, yeah, and it's, yeah, it's just, yeah, simple survival skills, because you need it. You just need, you never know. You just never know what's going to happen, or where you are, or your car breaks down in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, little things that. Well, it's amazing even just doing handyman work for people that are. Well, I don't know how to put screws into stuff. To hang a picture or something, Well, yeah, just to hold it and stuff. Oh man, there are some real basic skills that I didn't realize how hard some of that stuff is for people.
I know, because I go in and go, nah, 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 and they're like, what did you just do? I said, I just hung it up. But you, you did the measurements, and they're all in one, you're just hanging a picture, but they're all in the same line. It's like, how do...
Yeah, that makes sense to me, doesn't it to you?
But simple screw, putting a screw in, or even changing, what was it? Just simple electric. I'm not telling everybody to go out and do your own electricity.
Definitely don't do that.
No, don't do that. But if you're just, changing the light switch because it broke, you turn the power off, change it.
Yeah, see where the wires are, look at your new one.
Yeah.
Okay, I should be able to do that same thing on this next one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And just, yeah, I guess I take it for granted about how much I know and how to fix stuff, because I just think the house is broken. Okay, just go fix it.
Yeah, well, I think that learned helplessness is kind of part of that, where if I don't know how to do it, or Google can't show me how to do it, or if I can't figure it out on YouTube, then I have to hire somebody.
Yeah.
Instead of just doing it until you figure it out. Electrical, again, that's one that you can burn your house down with, or electrocute yourself, so don't just jump in and do whatever you feel like.
Yeah.
But almost everything else in your house, you should be able to have some understanding of it.
Yeah.
You're not going to do such a horrible job that you're going to die from it, I'm sure. Otherwise,
let's not promote any of that, because you never know.
Well, shouldn't, I guess. That's the operative word. You can still.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. Basic home maintenance. What were they starting to teach in school? How to balance your checkbook. Just your bank account. Yeah, when money goes out, it goes down. Then you have no more money.
Yeah.
Until you put back money.
Well, if they equate it to video games, it might make better sense for some. So.
But just learning how to budget.
Yeah.
Teaching that, but they should learn. They should how to change a light bulb. Why are you changing a light bulb? Changing your taps. Just putting trim on a door.
Little things, yeah.
Just
seemingly easy. But with that said, though, too, it'd be kind of nice to see that more emotional control is taught, which is a tough one, because then you're basically telling teachers to do the job of guidance counselors and stuff. But get kids to teach kids how to meditate and stuff. Be aware of your emotions, which is pretty much all kids are, for the most part. But it's you guys can think too, though.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I think school has gotten, with the anti-bullying thing, that was a major deal. That was major. That not putting up with bullying. That was a major change in school. Which I totally agree with, because you shouldn't condone, promote, or whatever. That, even though that bully is bullying because he's hurting, right? But it shouldn't be allowed. And the mean girl thing shouldn't be allowed. That shouldn't be happening.
No.
So.
With that said, though, too, there's also a lack of respect from kids.
Yep, absolutely.
Is the other part. So it's there was some benefit to the right amount of bullying. I don't know if that's the right way to say that even, but there was an understanding if somebody was older than you, if they're older than you, you should have more respect for them. And it kind of just, even year by year, not to the point where the older ones are allowed to bully people,
Yeah.
but show respect to people that are older than you, because you're a kid and you don't really know that much.
Yeah, but, kids will always think, especially teenagers will always think they know everything.
Well,
so it's
yeah, that's a tough one. But
yeah. Teenager, you know, and like I said, you know everything, okay, you don't need me, bye-bye.
Yeah.
You don't need my advice, you don't need anything.
But even then, if it's kind of started at a younger age, they're not, even as teenagers, they're not as quickly ready to mouth off adults.
No,
and stuff later,
if you teach them respect right away, yes, you're right. But I mean, I've seen how some parents treat teachers, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's a horrible thing. And if your parents, if the parents are treating the teacher like that, well, teacher doesn't stand a chance.
No,
So-
and their hands have been tied for so many things where they
Yeah.
go in, they write the lessons down, and then they walk out.
Yeah,
It's like, I'm not allowed to do anything else.
yeah. So,
The
I
kid
don't know.
passes, great, and if they don't, I can't really do much about it.
Well, now it's like, oh yeah, we're all passing.
Yeah, which isn't... Well, they still kind of did that even when I was in school, to a certain grade, where if you're doing okay, at least they just put you up to the next grade till about grade 8. But after that, it's like, you have to know what you're doing.
Yeah, no, it's
But-
not. I don't think it's like that anymore. I think they just get them out,
Yeah.
get them out.
Yeah, just keep pushing through. You'll make it out there somehow.
Yeah.
But everybody gets that participation award and stuff too, so. Although the idea of sports and people needing to lose is so that they try harder. If everybody's just happy with, doing whatever you can, which is good. I mean, figure out what you can do, but also be aware that we're not all good at everything.
No, but you know what? I like. I say, praising mediocrity. You're like, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, good. You're almost good.
Yeah.
You're, yay.
Yeah,
Good for you.
We're playing, but we don't keep score. It's like, well, then why bother?
Yeah. It's fine playing for. I don't know. I can't. But but if you're trying, if you're the person that's trying really hard and you win, that should be acknowledged.
Yeah.
That your training, your hard work and everything should be acknowledged. Because what happens is, if we're all the same, then that becomes communism, and then the people who actually make the world better stop trying,
Yep.
and then you have a really bad world.
Yeah. Yeah, level everybody out so
We're all mediocre.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yippee.
Yeah, equality of outcome. It's like, well, then nothing will ever change. Do you think this is the best we'll ever do?
Yeah.
If you do, that's a bad way of looking at the world.
Yeah. Yeah. and that's it. And I mean, yeah, all the type A personalities are just
Yeah, well, that's the
I'm
other thing.
melting.
I'll go somewhere where I can express myself and optimize.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, for me, do I try? Yeah, I try all the time. All the time. That's just the way I'm built.
Yeah.
If you don't want to try, that's fine. But contribute something.
Yeah. Yeah, one, like I was saying there before too, like the idea of everybody's good at something, nobody's good at everything.
Yeah.
And that was like a participation commercial
Yeah.
from the 90s.
Yeah.
So it's like, focus on what you're good at and do that.
Yeah.
So like, there are going to be certain things, like, I'm never going to be a professional basketball player, especially now. Like, there's no way. So let's be aware of, like, okay, there's certain things I can't do, but I'm going to be mad at the NBA because they're not going to hire me? Well, of course not. That's my fault.
Yeah.
And it's in an area that I can't have any physical, psychological change to. It's never going to happen for me.
Yeah.
So sitting there and, well, it's like drinking poison and hope that they get hurt kind of thing, right? It's not going to help me or them.
Yeah.
So.
There's, I mean, like everybody's so different. Everybody's so different, and like I said, how do you solve all the problems? Well, you don't. You don't solve all the problems, but you take care of your little corner.
Yeah.
You just take care of your little corner and teach your kids to be kind. If everybody teaches their kids to be kind and respectful, then we have a really good world.
Yeah.
But if you teach them to be assholes, then you get what you get. So.
Yeah. No, it's very true.
So.
Yeah, that's a tough one because they're calling things that aren't phobias now too is the other thing. Like fat phobia. It's like, I'm not afraid of fat people. I feel sorry for them. They should, my brother, he's overweight, and he knows 100% it's because of what he's doing or not doing with his life sort of thing. He doesn't really care, and he knows there's a certain level of activity and stuff that make him healthier, so he's not in the, well, it's healthy to be this size. He knows it isn't. Mm-hmm. He feels it in his knees. But there's other people where they're giving this, it's healthy to be 350 pounds kind of idea. It's like, well, no. You have control over that.
Yeah.
So.
I'm not touching that.
Yeah, it's an odd one because partly because I enjoy fitness and stuff too, and it makes me feel good.
Well, that's the thing, right? I'm not touching that.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll move on then. Because it's hot button topic, I suppose, but.
It is, because it's not just the one thing. Everything's rolled up in the person's personality, their stress level, their what's going on in their life, how they perceive themselves. It's all this added together, and you can't just say you should lose weight. You can't just say that to somebody.
No, for sure not. And I know it's simple too. It's not easy though.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. And even now, people can go on a calorie deficit and still not lose weight because they're not dealing with the stress.
Yeah.
They haven't dealt with that part of their life. So, and that's why I don't want to, that's a big whole other topic.
Oh, for sure. There's no single right answer for that one, or
yeah.
to even say if there's a right answer necessarily. Yeah. I think it's incorrect. But to be mad at, skinny 20-year-olds that are on the cover of magazines or that are models or whatever, it's like, well, yeah, that's what people buy. There's a biological imperative to part of that, but...
It's like, don't look at it.
Or, yeah, that's the other thing. Again, focus on something that you're good at.
Yeah.
Instead of complaining about something that bothers you.
Yeah.
I watch superhero movies. I'd love to have a body like Chris Hemsworth. That's a lot of work to get there, though.
Yeah. That's that's 6 hours a day. So.
Yeah, I kind of don't have that time. I've got other things to do.
Yeah.
I've got some time for exercise every day, but...
Yeah. And that's the thing, you have to remember, all those guys have, they have personal trainers, they have chefs, they have a whole crew of people getting them there.
Yeah.
So...
Well,
and that's his job.
Well, not only that, he's chiseled like Adonis, basically. Not just physically strong, he's a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
I'm not that good-looking. They're not going to put me in movies.
Oh, come on.
Oh, stop it. But it's a simple reality, though. It's I know that there's certain bone structures that are just appealing to people. I don't have it. It's not a big deal, though.
Well, no, and this touches on so much. It just touches on so much, and it is. It's all, yes, magazines contribute to self-image, a bad self-image. Yes, it does. Because as a teenage girl, especially, growing up, you gotta look like this. And it's no, you don't. First of all, 1% of the population looks like that.
She doesn't even look like that.
And God, she should have put on clothes, because she's only 12.
That's the other weird part about it.
So, like I said, old men that like to dick little girls are still in power, so all that still happens, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, I've talked about that on previous ones too, that our value is different in society, is the other thing. That men don't really have a noticeable amount of value until they're at least in their 30s. Because teenage boys are useless. They're dumb, they're full of piss and vinegar, they just break things all the time.
Yeah.
That's kind of their only value, is where it's changing now, probably because of society standards and how we actually feel about what's important and stuff like that. But a female can be having kids by the time they're 18,
9.
20, well, 9 ideally is if they want to just make them into baby factories, right? That's not ideal for anybody though. But there's also a smaller window for them to have societal function in a certain way, because women have to make babies, men can't.
Yeah.
Regardless of pregnant emojis that are being made or whatever, like that's the vast majority of women have to have a baby before the age of 40, about, let's say. Mm-hmm. Medical technology is getting better, but it's like what has been valued forever is that they're young and fertile and pretty, and that all fades or anything like that, is where right around that same time a guy starts becoming more and more useful.
Yeah. Sort
of thing too. So it's like our values are different in society. But the other thing is too is that you don't just throw women away after they turn 40. They have a lot of value. They're going to live for, well, they all live men. You know,
they certainly do.
They're going to be a lot more useful for a lot longer than men are.
Yeah.
But because there's this, you know, superficial imperative that's stuck to women, and some people get stuck on that's their only value. Like, I have to do everything by the time I'm 40, otherwise I'm not worth anything.
Yeah. It's now that the majority of the population is growing older, you'll see that there are older, a lot of shows are, a lot of entertainment is based around older generation.
Yeah.
Because you try and watch the teenage stuff's like, ugh. Please.
Yeah, I don't understand their slang even. Like, what's going on?
Why does she just hit him?
Yeah, pretty much.
No, I don't know. But it's changing because the population is growing older, so it is changing. Like that's all changing. And also, I mean, but with that comes with everything coming out and everything being available. And really, what was I reading on Facebook? Like, I didn't know what was going on about why do children need to learn about sex from a transsexual? It's like, what? And I didn't continue reading that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't know what this fight's all about, but.
It doesn't affect me, so I'm just gonna move
along.
Well,
you know, teach your kids. Then you teach your kids.
Mm-hmm. Which kind of, I mean, other than the sex ed thing, like you should be teaching your own kids about relationship and whatever stuff, anyways, right?
Yeah, like you should be coming from mom and dad.
That's kind of what I thought too, and well, the don't say gay thing, which is not what it was, but it's like like kids between kindergarten and grade 3 need to learn how to read and write and spell their own name, you know, like the basics of education or anything like that.
Yeah.
They don't need to be thrown in what a gay person is or how a trans person fits
not at
into
that
society.
age.
Well, of course not. They've got way more other things to get good at, or even just like wrap their minds around before all this other stuff that's going to be a part of the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I kind of agree with that. But of course somebody took it and it's like, oh, well, don't say gay, and they just turned it into this big stupid thing. And it's like, well, now we're just blowing stuff out of proportion for no reason.
Yeah, and everybody, someone's going to get offended. Yeah. Someone will get offended.
Well, the thing is, I've seen in my life very easily where calling somebody gay was a derogatory term. You know, so we just don't talk like that anymore. Mm-hmm. And now gays are pretty much fully accepted by just about everybody, at least in North America. Yeah. Nobody really cares. But it's just like, well, then why does it even have to enter the conversation? There's a lot of people that are out that have 2 dads or 2 moms that send their kids to school. Nobody even cares about that.
Nobody cares about that anymore.
But
do they? I don't
know. No, it doesn't seem like they do. But I mean, I think part of the whole grouping the LGBTQ
MOUSE.
Yeah. all those people all together sort of thing is that the gay movement got basically won, but it's like, okay, well, we have all this angst and we have all this funding and stuff, like, what do we do now? It's like, well, can we just group things together and just keep fighting the good fight sort of thing like that, and we're just going to get everybody underneath this banner sort of thing? And it's like, maybe that's part of it, but let's not pretend that gay men and gay women are the same thing. They don't really talk to each other even. And gays in general and trans people, it's like, well, trans or non-binary people they're kind of a wash or whatever they want to be, is where a gay man wants to be with another gay man. Oh, like, I would think, I don't know for a fact, but if a woman's dating a woman and finds out that's a trans woman and still has a penis, it's like, I actually have trauma about that part of anatomy. You told me you're a woman.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, there's a very specific thing about gender with some of those people. But a lot of that is just, yeah, exactly, right? And it's the thing, it's just like, in my day-to-day life, is it going to matter?
You do you, I'll do me.
Yeah, but it's the thing, you go to the grocery store and you misgender somebody, and it's like, well, I could charge you for that. It's like, oh, okay, the chances of that happening is so slim, though, so I probably shouldn't worry about that either. Yeah. But
how do you, I guess, I'm trying to think how you misgender somebody, but, it's, because I keep it very sad. Hi.
Yeah.
How are you?
Thank you.
Okay. Have a great day.
Yeah. Keeping everything neutral anyways.
Yeah. And that's, if you don't want to offend anybody, keep it neutral. If you have an opinion, if you want to say it out loud, you can. You can say it out loud, but just remember there's always going to be backlash.
Yeah.
Always. From somebody.
Yeah.
From somebody.
No, it's very true. And it's good that more and more of this stuff is flushing itself out and being talked about and discussed. And as bad as the internet can be, it's good that we're as interconnected as we are, so that we can work through all these things a lot faster than we would have before.
Well, and that's the thing, and it's like, the Ukrainian war right now, I mean, if you ask the Russians, do they really want to invade Ukraine? Like the citizens themselves? Mm-hmm. I'm sure they'll say no.
Yeah.
Because they have relatives there. Like, they're all one people. So, and that's what the internet should be used for. It's like, why are you fighting? Stop fighting. You're all the same. You're all fighting for the same thing. Except for the guy at the top who just wants to invade because he likes to dick little girls. I don't know.
Pretty much, right?
Basically, I don't know. It's like, why are you invading another country for Pete's sake?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about that. Same thing, I have no opinion on what's going on in Ukraine because I don't know anything about it.
I don't know anything about it, but why are people always, it's always the people that suffer. Yeah. Always.
Well, it almost seems though, it's like, if the States invaded Canada, it's like, why? We're already the same.
Yeah.
We have like 3 different laws than you do.
Yeah. Yeah. What did Mike Myers has a new TV show out.
The Pentaveret?
Yes. And his assistant's t-shirt, the t-shirt that she wears, it says, Canada, living the American dream, only with less violence, since 1867. And I thought, I want that t-shirt. I want that, because that is us.
That's pretty much exactly.
That's us, living the American dream with less violence. Like, good, let's keep it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually like spot on.
Yeah. Yeah. So
everybody can show up here, get a job, be who they want to be.
Yeah, and
very few people get shot.
And succeed.
Yeah.
I know when we announced, like, how many murders did Calgary have this year? It's like, what? What? You're like, 6? What are you talking? 6 murders? I think.
Yeah, good thing we're not in Saskatoon. Whew. What? Saskatoon and Regina, like, per capita has like the highest murder rates.
Really?
Yeah. It's amazing how much gang violence there is in that city. And it's funny too because it's like Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Yeah. It's such a oxymoron, but
gangs in Saskatoon.
I know it's weird to say it even, isn't it? Like, it
What-
rolls
what
off the tongue weird.
Well, what are they ganging about?
I don't know.
Like, what?
Want to be tough guys, I guess. Or...
It's like, what? Which cornfield is theirs? Like, what? Like, what are you fighting
There's a lot of
about?
canola out there. Yeah.
Well, like, what are they? Like, what are you fighting about? Like, usually you have a gang and it's territorial. It's like,
It's not a big city. There's not much territory
No.
to have. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know.
wow.
Yeah, it's sad. Actually, it's laughable, really, because I heard people talk about it, and well, one of the groups, and I laughed right in the guy's face, talking about the white boy posse.
What?
I was like, what? Grown-ups call themselves that?
What? Like,
like-
they're grown-ups?
Yeah, there's a group of grown-ups that act like a bunch of tough guys and want to be gangsters and stuff, and that's one of the name of the gang issues or groups that's out there. It's just like, oh, okay, I'm going home to Calgary. I'm done.
They're grown-ups. Like
Yeah.
adults.
Yeah, they call themselves like grown men do that, and they think they're tough, I guess. So, but again, maybe it's the again the fracturing of the sense of family or whatever sort of thing is part of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's it's a tough one to swallow because there's already enough fights in that city. I just didn't want to be a part of it, so I'm like. I'm
Saskatoon.
gonna keep my lips zipped and I'll head out then, guys.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah, it's a weird one, but it's usually what it is though too. It's gang on gang violence kind of stuff. It's not somebody gets cut off in rush hour traffic and just guns the other person down. Like again, we're not the States. Nobody's walking around or driving around with guns in their vehicles. It's a weird one, but
I don't get it.
but yeah, that sounds like a pretty accurate stat, though, that, like 6 people got murdered in Calgary. Sounds right. Because you never hear about it.
But, whenever you hear about a shooting, it's like, how'd they, you sit there and go, where'd they get the gun? It's like,
Yeah.
how do we get guns around here? Can I get a gun? It's like, how do you get a gun?
Yeah.
It's,
I don't know. I just don't, I'm not a fan of guns.
no, I know, but it's like, we don't have guns.
Yeah. I can see if it was a shotgun or a hunting rifle, then
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, but...
A pistol, though?
yeah.
I guess they're around, but
I guess so. I don't know.
yeah, it's an element of the world that especially living out here in suburbia, they totally forget about.
Yeah.
You know, when you go downtown and there's like things are happening and people are jumping around doing these events, whatever, and Stephen Ave is lined up with all kinds of, performers and they're doing that stuff, then you see these crackheads that are just twitching out and doing their thing, like,
Yeah.
right, there's also this part of downtown, I forgot about that.
The ambiance.
Yeah. Yeah, you get a whole new world of flavors down there.
Yeah.
And smells.
Yeah. It's pretty noisy.
Yeah, it's interesting because it has its own unique energy and it's kind of nice, but it's nice to be here and then, 45 minutes to the west and I'm in the mountains.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah,
really
it
nice.
is like the mountains are very healing. It's a very healing place to go. If you're just totally stressed out, go there. Just go drive there.
Yeah.
Pull over, look at them. You'll be fine. So,
Yeah. No, that's usually what I feel if I'm getting too in my head about things or stressed out about city life. It's like, go to these things. See how big your problems actually are.
Yeah.
See how significant you think you
Yeah.
actually are.
Yeah. Yeah. It actually just puts everything into perspective. It's like, oh yeah. Yeah, we're nothing.
Yep, life's pretty easy.
Yeah. So to be able to do that, yeah.
Agreed. Well, we are now 1 hour and 54 minutes in.
All right. Well,
Feeling good?
That's your 2 hour mark, right?
Right on. That's good
So-
enough for me.
So, did you have any other questions?
No, it flowed pretty well. I was kind of just seeing how things were going and
Yeah.
see what your perspective on things were and how much certain parts didn't change, it seemed like, because you were just like, I don't care, that's nothing to do with me. So
Yeah. Well, it really does. To get uptight about things you can't change, you can't really do. Just take care of your own little world.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good and humbling as always.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right on.